Welcome to Policy Talks. Today we have Ganesh Neelam. Ganesh is heading an organization called CInI, which is an affiliate in organization of Tata Trust. And he is being leading a program called Lakhpati Kisan, which we are going to talk about today. Ganesh, very warm welcome to this podcast. And my first question to you is the entire conceptualization of Lakhpati Kisan program. How did it come about? When did you start? And what has been the learning so far?
Thanks inviting me to the Policy Talks, Anjal. So the Lakhpati Kisan journey has been a journey now for about 7 years. We started in April 2015 as a program. But before the program started, we spent about 6 months with the communities, the women mainly, wherein when we were trying to engage and talk with the communities, and again, especially women in this case, we could very clearly understand from them that they were looking at a monthly income of about 10 to 15,000 rupees. So we said, let us look at that aspiration of the family. That's been the inspiration for us to start a program like Lakhpati. The term Lakhpati was also coined by the women. They said कि हमको अगर 10 से 15,000 रुपया महीना चाहिए जो 1 लाख के ऊपर हो रहा है साल में, can we also basically be called as Lakhpatis, which will be like a matter of pride in the village if somebody calls me a Lakhpati Didi or a Lakhpati family. So that's been our journey till now.
So I'm slightly apprehensive. Is it really possible to double farmers' income or triple farmers' income? We know that especially in the areas where there's lack of access to water, there's lack of semi-arid region, dry, deciduous places. Is it really possible?
If you look at the family and the resources that they have, now if you look at the tribal families, fortunately they do have land resources, though they are fragmented. So we looked at the resources from a land, from the livestock. What we did, as you mentioned rightly, water being an important trigger in this case, we basically used water as an enabler. We said, let us look at creating the water resources for the families, which is enabling the families to maybe have assured irrigation in the second crop or the third crop in some cases. But we again did not say that we'll only focus on agriculture. We looked at agriculture with livestock. We looked at agriculture, livestock with NTFP. We looked at agriculture with NTFP. So that layering of livelihood is something which is very important, which enables the family also to manage risk, but also to meet the Lakhpati pathway. I would say it's possible across the country. Okay. With the tweaking from the local context, which is always required to look at.
Just give us a mapping out of what does it require and how much time does it take for them to double or triple farmers' income and from the present level of base level.
Sure. So the steps that we followed, and the first and foremost step was basically to bring this community members together as institutional structures. So the self-help group, each member being part of the self-help group, and through the self-help group, how do we plan and execute the interventions? That was the start that we had. The second important thing that we did was we call them as early adopters or low-hanging fruits, wherein we looked at from these SHG members, there are some members who are ready to come take risk along with us. And through them, we were able to see how the larger community base actually learns and basically adopts it. It is a slow process, but that's the second step that we did. We also did a lot of exposures to, say, like the Indo-Israel Center, which is in Goranda and other places. We took the community, we exposed them that there are these technologies which will help you improve your agriculture. How does that happen? So that was like the next step to look at. And finally, we had the principle called market-led. So we said, if the families have to get that much income, one needs to also look at the market opportunities. So a combination of crop diversity, which is talking for the market perspective as well as for the consumption perspective. So these were principles which we still continue to build the program on.
When the farmers produce, for example, is the season and one person has produced wheat or anything else, and everybody else produces the price of wheat goes down, or any vegetable, for example, right? So how do we look at that demand supply process, one? And second is the market linkages, because that's a major hurdle.
Yes.
The mandis are becoming places where farmers are not able to access, and they have a lot of tots there, dalals who are actually. So how do you look at that? What has been your experience?
So we did some homework along with the communities in this case. And based on that, we were able to see how the planning happens. Now, if we look at Jharkhand, so tomato during monsoon was something which never was happening because it is a risky crop in monsoon.
And perishable also.
It is perishable also. So what we were able to do was look at tomato cultivation in the monsoon, but start early. so that your harvesting also happens early and you are getting a better price. So that way we were able to connect from the market demand perspective and how community actually can respond to the market.
Fintech solution, like for example, any app or something where it can tell us in real time the farmers want to sell and somebody is there to buy, something like that. Is there any experiment that has happened not only in your but other places that we can learn from?
Talking about the volume of the produce. So before the harvesting, there is a technology like what you call remote sensing based technology, which helps you understand what is going to be the volume of the produce. And with that, you negotiate with the players before the harvest only to look at. On a day-to-day basis, the farmers basically get a message of the price point in different mandis.
Okay.
So they are then able to say, okay, today, say the chili price is doing good, let me harvest. So I will harvest and then I am able to give it to the institution so that the marketing happens. Or if the price is on time, maybe I'll wait for a day. Tomorrow maybe the mandi price may change. So that again has been some technology, vertical integration that we have been trying to look at. But again, to put across, Anjal, the market still remains a challenge. For us, two critical challenges which till now we have not been able to strongly sort out is the financing, affordable financing to the families for a technology adoption or for improving the livelihood. And the second is market. So these two still continue to
And
be a
what do you
challenge.
suggest? How do we tackle these two? What could be the ways in which we can tackle market as well as finances?
So on markets, what we strongly feel is if there are some like-minded players, and I would say good startups, who would be able to also generate demand, can they then talk with some bigger players, not the traders, but some bigger players like Big Basket or Reliance, and negotiate on a price point. Only then I suppose the market will benefit both the stakeholders. Currently, these guys do not want to come and work in our geographies. Again, these are backward geographies. So they're still holding on coming and working in our geographies. They don't want to take that risk.
Okay, coming to the next, this is the program which has been successful in in geography that you have been working for a long time, and we also know what are the ingredients, what are challenges, and we know how to overcome them as well. What do you think that the policy, link require for you to extrapolate this? What could that be?
So we have been trying to work closely with the Niti Aayog team to see how we can basically put our approach. And if there is an opportunity for us to scale up with the Niti Aayog. So still that discussion is happening. But at the respective state level, we are working closely, like in the Orissa Livelihood Mission, we have a discussion or an understanding. So see how the Lakhpati Kisan Programme is taken up in our clusters. And the OLM basically supports from the institution. What strongly I feel from a policy perspective is, if such an approach could be taken on the ground, mainly from a perspective of seeing how these institutions are supported from a financing and a market perspective, along with technology. So if these three aspects are very strongly and critically taken up in the respective geographies from a policy perspective, we feel this will actually go a long way.
Is this Lakhpati Didi program also based on a very similar principles that you have talked about?
Yeah. So it's based on exactly the same principles that we had. And fortunately for us, we were the first runners. Our only hope is that it does not become a number-based program. It actually becomes a program which is able to deliver.
Climate change, the force multiplier, it disrupts the entire system. So you already have a distressed situation for farmers, income.
Right.
On the top, you have climate change issues striking us very hard.
Right.
How have you been able to manage these situations, and what has been your experience so far?
So our learnings, I would say, are early from a climate perspective. And within the climate also, we have tried to look at two important aspects. One is the soil. So we are trying to see how we can focus on the soil health to keep the micronutrients as well as the soil biomass intact to the soil. The second is water, which is again an important aspect, wherein we are looking at conservation. And also, if one is extracting water, then how do you extract it judiciously from a management perspective? We feel if these two are addressed at the community level, and if we are able to make them understand how these two will help them from increasing their income, along with managing these resources from a long-term perspective, they will be able to manage it.
That is something that is commendable. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We come back because I know that there's a book coming on Lakhpati Kisan,
Yes.
which all of us are looking forward to. So we soon come back and with the book and documentation of what has happened.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.